The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
We believe that only American citizens should vote in American elections. Which is why the time has come for voter ID, like everything else. Voter ID.
Voter ID, which is going to allow Governor Romney to win the state of Pennsylvania. Done.
You know, if you go out and you want to buy groceries, you need a picture on a card.
Huh?
You need ID. You go out and you want to buy anything, you need ID and you need your picture. In this country, the only time you don't need it, in many cases, is when you want to vote for a president, when you want to vote for a senator, when you want to vote for a governor or a congressman. It's crazy.
Voter ID, which is going to allow Governor Romney to win the state of Pennsylvania. Done.
That second voice that you heard was that of Mike Turzai. He was the former Republican leader in Pennsylvania who had to step down because he inadvertently divulged why it is that Republicans are seeking voter ID laws across the country. They're not doing so because there's an actual problem. They know. In fact, they know without a shadow of a doubt that there is not a problem of voter fraud, voter impersonations, or any of the other things that they use as a means of justifying voter ID laws across the country. The real reason they're doing it is because they want to disenfranchise predominantly minority voters so that they can help their politicians win. They are instituting these policies not to protect our system, but so that they can be alone in running our system. And so they know full well that there is not a problem of voter ID fraud. I covered this yesterday on the David Pakman program, but I wanted to go even further in detail, both on the strategy and the specifics. Donald Trump lifting up this ridiculous straw man, which is obscenely ridiculous that you have to have an ID card to go to go shopping. And of course, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is Donald Trump's Minister of Information, a Minister of Propaganda, more just cut to the point, right? She said, oh, well, what he meant to say was that you needed to go buy alcohol. No, that's not what he meant to say. He said what he meant to say because he just wants to make it extremely ridiculous. He wants to make voter ID seem as innocuous as buying groceries. That's really what he's trying to do. And the way they pull this off is the same way demagogues have pulled this off throughout world history, including Nazis, very specifically Nazis, making a problem that does not exist, using constant repetitive rhetoric and propaganda to insist that there is a problem that they alone can fix. They are the person to fix this problem. They are the party to fix this problem. They are the only people who are even paying attention to this problem. This is the exact paradigm that they use to justify every single thing that they accomplish that is detrimental to someone, but particularly marginalized communities. This is the premise that Attorney General Jeff Sessions used to justify this task force to protect religious liberties, because he said religious liberties are clearly under attack.
Let's be frank. A dangerous movement, undetected by many, but real, is now challenging and eroding a great tradition of religious freedom. There can be no doubt. It's no little matter. It must be confronted intellectually and politically and defeated.
And so here's a problem that does not exist. Religious liberties in the United States are just fine. But if you insist on it being a problem, then people who want their way, even to the detriment of the rights and liberties of other people, they will buy into this persecution complex. It is a strategy as old as time, and it is a consistent strategy used by demagogues and dictators and the people who surround them, those who love dictators. And so here we are, the president of the United States attempting to spread yet again the same propaganda that has been disproven, the same lies that has been disproven given in order to disenfranchise people of color, predominantly brown and black people, in order to protect their power, because they know black and brown people in this country overwhelmingly are going to support the Democratic Party, not because the Democratic Party is so good, but because the Republican Party is so bad. They do this strategy of creating a straw man, and they do so in the most insidious manner on so many other issues. The biggest issue that I could think of in my lifetime, quite frankly, are the weapons of mass destruction. They insisted over and over and over again that there were weapons of mass destruction that took us into a war that we are still mired in to this day, some 18 or rather 15 years later. And here we are dealing with the ramifications till this day because of the Republican Party creating an issue that did not really exist, but they used that issue as a way of getting their way to the detriment of millions of people. Not only with voter ID, not only with the Iraq War, not only with religious liberties, but Republicans do this same exact technique with everything. Think about what's happening at the border. There is no real border crisis. There is no sudden burst in illegal immigration such that they have to secure the borders with these draconian policies. No, there absolutely is none. Peter Beinart from The Nation reported it like this. He said, quote, "Over the last decade, illegal immigration has been going down. Between 1983 and 2006, according to the Border Patrol, the United States apprehended roughly 1 million and sometimes as many as 1.5 million undocumented immigrants per year. That number steadily dwindled during Obama's presidency. In fiscal year 2016, it was 408,000, less than half of the number in 2009. So there is no impending crisis. But as Zoe Carpenter from thenation.com said on this show last month,
the president and the Republican Party in general has become very good at blaming any problem whatsoever, whether it's an economic problem or social divides, on people of color and especially immigrants.
So there is no immigration crisis. They're merely scapegoats. There is no economic crisis that warranted $1 trillion in giveaways to the wealthiest people in this country. There is no voter fraud crisis that warrants voter ID. There were no weapons of mass destruction. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Think of all of the things that they're doing to harm this country and to harm the most marginalized communities, from people of color to poor people in general. The justification for conflicts, for wars. They are all versions of wagging the dog, and generally as a means of maintaining a power structure that is detrimental to everyone except white Christian men.
Change, pardon the pun, the whole complexion of America. They want to break down the white Christian male power structure, of which you're a part, and so am I. And they want to bring in millions of foreign nationals to basically break down the structure that we have.
It is a very consistent theme throughout this show from my very first episode, because it is a very consistent theme throughout American history. It is ever present. It is here right now. Everything that they do, no matter how they dress it up, no matter if it's in a suit and tie, if it's in a $2,000 suit sitting on national television from New York City, everything that they do is to secure the future for white children. Yes. That's at the core of what drives Donald Trump. That's at the core of what drives Fox News. That's at the core of what drives Bill O'Reilly, and now his successor, Tucker Carlson. Their primary concern is preserving America to be as white and Christian as it can possibly be. And so every policy that they create a boogeyman around. There is no evidence. We're to the contrary. Immigration has decreased significantly before Donald Trump took office. But every data point to the contrary is ignored. There is no voter fraud crisis. Do you have a better chance of being struck by lightning than finding a case of voter fraud? But yet they are looking to disenfranchise black and brown people, minority communities, through the usage of voter ID laws, by creating a new poll tax, by creating a barrier to even participating in this system. And so they're fine. If you must be here in this country, then you just shouldn't vote. This is the reality of the Republican Party right now. If you examine every single policy that they create by the group that they're scapegoating, you will find that at the core of every intention, every policy, at the core of every initiative, at the core of everything that they do, it is to preserve two things: the white male Christian power structure in this country, and to preserve the wealth of the richest people in the history of the world. Go to patreon.com/the BPD show for more.